one of, if not the main reason that I think Gym Launch was able to sell for the multiple it did was because we had 50% of our sales that came from cold outbound.
In just 5 years, Alex Hormozi founded and scaled his company Gym Launch and then went on to exit for over $46 million in 2021. But he wasn't handed millions of dollars on a silver platter. He went from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. And at one point, he was on the brink of closing down his business and actually used cold email to save him from having to shut down Gym Launch.
The cold outreach playbook, which literally saved Gym Launch at its hardest time and was able to scale a gym company during COVID, because that's how bulletproof it is once you get it right.
And at this point, he's done dozens and dozens of presentations on how he uses cold email to generate leads for his businesses. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the exact cold email strategy that Alex Hormozi used to save his business, how he scaled his business, and how you can implement the same exact thing so that you never have to worry about getting another client again. Alex Hormozi's cold email strategy can really be broken down into 3 different pillars. The first thing is going to be the lead lists. The lead list is essentially a list of people that you are going to be emailing to. So when it comes to building a list, what a lot of people do is they'll just get like a bulk list. They'll say, cool, I'm gonna get a bulk list of 1 million people's emails and I'm gonna go ahead and just blast them, because I think the more emails that I have, the more success that I'll have when it comes to cold email. Problem with this is that a lot of these emails could be bouncing back. You could get a lack of response because they're not specific, or low deliverability because they're not actual verified emails. The other problem is the emails are not clean when it comes to it. So when I say clean, I mean they're not verified. It means if I get an email list, let's just call it of 10,000 people, and it's not a clean list, and I don't run it through what's called a verification process, then I risk that some of the emails in that email list are going to be old, outdated, people moved on from the company. It's not actually a person that you're wanting to email on that email list, which leads to low deliverability, bouncing your emails. And then lastly, anyone with the pulse. A lot of people think I'm just going to email anybody in this industry and they're going to respond. And the problem with this is that there's no specificity and you're not going to get any responses because we're not actually being targeted with the people that we're reaching out to. Alex Hormozi really reveals 3 different ways of building lists that you can steal. The first is software. So we're in a day and age where there is now software out there that will build email lists for you. So what you can do is you can go to software, you can say, oh, I want CEOs in this area, in this industry. And what will pull up is a list of everybody that meets that specific criteria. So what Alex Hormozi suggests is that we test out the multitude of different softwares to figure out what is going to provide the best data and the most accurate data, the most clean data as well. The second method of building lists that Alex Hormozi suggests is to buy lists. So if you Google your niche, buying a list of emails, I'm sure there will be dozens of what's called list brokers that will pop up. When it comes to buying a list, this is really solid if you want speed. If you just want to get a quick list, then this will be a really great tool that you can leverage. What I look for, how often are they updating their lists? If it's a 5-year list and I get this list and I start sending emails and everything's bouncing back, that data is not going to be accurate. We need to make sure that they're updating it very consistently and it's not an old list that they just slapped up a website. The other thing is we want to make sure that it's accurate. So we want to make sure that the list is also verified, that they go through a verification process so that when you send the emails, it's not going to bounce, you're not going to get a low deliverability, and it's not going to wreck your domains. And the last is we want to make sure that they offer some sort of satisfaction guarantee. So a lot of these do offer sample lists that you can download, but what's even better is if you start using this list and you experience a high bounce rate, you want to be able to go to that broker and say, hey, I sent 10,000 emails and a quarter of them bounced back. Like, that's not okay. So we want to make sure that there's some sort of guarantee in there, some sort of protection. And the last method is to build a list. So let's just say you want everybody in Tennessee with more than 30 reviews on Yelp. Probably not going to be able to use software that can pull that specific of data. So what you can do is you can hire a VA, you can go to Upwork or you can go to Fiverr.com, you can type in list builder. And what they'll do is they'll scrounge the internet, they'll find the founder and they'll start adding them to a list. Another method for this is I'll use Gym Launch, for example. Let's just say there's like a big event and there's a lot of gyms attending and they're going to be having a booth. I want to say, cool, I want to get all of the people who are attending this event on a list so that I can email them. Maybe I'm attending it, maybe I'm going to spectate it, maybe I want to make connections, maybe I want to use that as a copy angle. So what you do is you hire the VA based off of the criteria to go search for the founder of the company or whatever contact that you want, and then you have a really specific list. Now that we have the lists, now that we have the people that we want to reach out to, what do we say to them? Messaging is one of the most important aspects of cold email because that's the first impression of a customer. So what a lot of people do when they're writing copy, when they're sending cold emails, is they will just sell too much in the subject in the copy. The problem with this is if you put yourself in a CEO shoes shoes or a decision maker's shoes and they open up an email and it is just you selling them the whole time, are they actually going to respond to that? Probably not. The second problem that I see a lot is people will write a novel. It'll be 3 paragraphs talking about how they can just solve their customer's problem, and it is not a strategy that actually works. The third problem is they make it look like a cold email. So one thing that Alex Hormozi says is we want it to not look like a cold email and we want it to look like a warm email. Because if it just looks like a cold email, that's going to go straight into the spam folder because nobody wants to feel sold to. So all of these 3 problems, the common denominator is people are feeling sold to. They're feeling like it's a cold email. So Alex Hormozi came up with this strategy that he calls the big, fast value strategy, which I broke down into 3 different methods. The first strategy being make it seem like warm outreach. So going back to my point of selling too much in the subject and copywriting, so many people just want to sell when it comes to cold email. Instead, what Alex Hormozi suggests is that we want to make it seem like warm outreach. So how do we do that? First thing is personalization. We need to be using personalized lines. We need to be using personalizations. We need to get lists that are not just a bulk list, but micro lists for specific industries, for specific problems, for specific contacts that we can then create a personalized line for those specific people and target the copy towards the specific lead list that we have. So for example, when it comes to lead lists, let's not build a list of 100,000 people. Let's build 10 lists of 10,000 people so that we can then have a really personalized outreach to that list that we are in fact reaching out to. And the next thing is targeted copy. We want to make sure that the copy is really targeted to who we're actually sending the email to. If you're sending copy to a CEO, is going to be a lot different than copy to a CMO. And targeted copy can also be off of the pain points and desired outcomes. So what are the pain points and desired outcomes of XYZ list? We want to be really pinpointed with our copy when we are writing copy and not just blast it out and make it super generalized. Strategy number 2 that Alex Hormozi always talks about is 3rd grade reading level. So many people will write emails and they'll be like adding all this fancy jargon, which makes it super hard for people to read, super hard for people to actually understand. And what Alex Hormozi suggests is to remove any sort of jargon and really bring it down to that 3rd grade reading level. And the last strategy that he talks about with messaging is to offer something so good that people actually charge money for it. What a lot of people do when they send cold emails is the offer at the end of the cold email is like, let's book a call, book your free consultation. And it's like, no, these people don't trust you. This is a cold email. So really the purpose of cold email is to get them from being cold to warm. And the way that we do that is not by selling them on the first email. It is to build trust. People work with who they know, who they like, and who they trust. And if you can make it seem like a warm outreach, you can be simplified with your copy, and then the offer is something so good that people actually charge money for it. What is that going to do for the person that's receiving the email? They're going to trust you. So what you can do is you can offer a lead magnet, like a really valuable training that would be course material or a free course or something that is of value that you are charging for it. The real purpose of this is we want them to raise their hand and we want to earn the trust, because if our copy is really targeted and we have an offer at the end of it to that targeted prospect that we got from that lead list that we just talked about, and it's hitting on the pain points, it's hitting on the desired outcome, they're going to raise their hand and they're going to take advantage of the offer that you have. So now that we have the lead list and the messaging, what is the third thing that Alex Hormozi suggests? And it's automation. What we don't want to do is we don't want to manually send each email. We don't want to manually follow up with everybody. We don't want to use Google Sheets. We don't want to do a mail merge, because the problem is this is going to take you all day. The labor costs are going to be super expensive. The operational complexity is going to be a nightmare. And also the problem is you're not going to be able to send enough volume to actually get results when it comes to cold email, because the reality is if you have a list of 10,000 people, you can't send 10,000 emails a day from one domain. We need to come up with a way that we can automate this. So Alex Hormozi's automation strategy is to automate the list building. How do we do this at scale? How do we make sure that we can automate this? And one thing that he always talks about is he has specific roles at his company to build the list so that we can continue to land on the software, automate the list building, and make sure that this is a process that we can automatically and continuously keep filling up our lists. Automating the copy. We have the pillars, we have the strategy, we have what we don't want to do and what we do want to do. We can now automate the copy so we're not having to write copy every single time or send manual emails out every single line. We want to automate the personalized lines. Imagine you have a list of 10,000 people and you just sitting there and writing a personalized line for every single contact. That is not scalable whatsoever. Automate the lead tracking. If somebody has a positive response, how do I make sure that I'm actually responding to them? How do I keep track of everybody who's a positive response? How do I keep track of my follow-ups? How do I keep track with everybody that I've booked a meeting with? We want to automate this in a simple way that will save you time so that you can do it at scale, which is really my last point, is how do we automate this whole process so that we can send the volume necessary? So we're not sending manual manual emails so that we can send a high volume of emails every single day. The question is, how do I automate this? How do I build the lead list? How do I build the messaging? How do I automate the copy? And there is a software that can do all of this for you. And the software is called Instantly AI. So the first thing that we want to talk about is the list building. So how do I use Alex Hormozi's techniques to build really good lists? And what we talked about is we want to make sure that they're not just a huge list of emails that we're spamming essentially. And we want to make sure that these lists are really clean and verified. So if I go to Instantly, I can click on what's called their lead finder. So if I was looking for, let's call it gym owners, I could go to something like industries, search industries. I could add in some keywords, gym, fitness. I could do job titles is any of, let's just call it CEO, founder. So now what I can pull is a potential list of every founder and CEO of gym and fitness people. So what I can do is I can select the list of leads and I can click add to campaign and I can select the campaign that I want to send them to. And once I add them to the campaign, what's also going to happen is it's going to automatically verify the leads. It's going to go through a 3-step verification process that will make sure that the emails are legit, they're not going to bounce, they're up to date, so that I know that this list is actually clean. The second thing that we want to talk about is automating the copy. So once I have the list of leads, how do I create messaging just like what Alex Hormozi said? One of the easiest ways that we can do that is we can go to our campaigns, we can click on a campaign, and once we add them to our campaign, what we'll see is we'll see the status is verified, 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 and we know that these are clean emails. So it's going through the verification process so that we know we're actually sending legit emails. What we can do inside of Instantly is we can go to our sequences. We can click on the bottom tool that says AI generator. So if I click on the AI tools, I can do AI sequence writer. So let's just say this is going to be my company. Let's just use Gym Lunch as an example. And then we help add 100K a year to gyms, guaranteed. We help them with sales, marketing to attract ideal customers. And then let's just say gyms is our target audience. We helped John's Fitness add 250K a year. We added 50K a month to Sally Fitness in just 90 days. And then we want 3-step. And what's automatically going to happen is it's going to generate our copy. We can see step 1 will be generated, step 2 will be generated, and step 3 will be generated. So if I click on use sequence, what's going to happen is it's going to automatically write the copy for us. I noticed that company name is focused on attracting more members. We recently helped John's Fitness add $250,000 a year by refining their sales and marketing strategies in just 90 days. Sally at Fitness also saw a 50K a month increase. Then what we can do also is we can test out the call to action. So I would just say something like, can I shoot over a Loom video explaining how this all works? Once we're able to automate the copy, what we also want to be able to automate is the personalized line. With Instantly, what we can do is we can go to the leads and we can go ahead and click on this AI prompt. And what we'll generate is hundreds of prompts that you can use to write personalized lines. So let's just say I want to create a general unique opening sentence. So what I can do is I can select the website, which we have in the column. Once I click generate for all leads, what will pop up is a column for personalized line. And what I can do is I can use that personalized line inside of my sequences. So if I go here, I can go ahead and just add the variable of a personalized line. Let's just say it's company news. Then I can use this in my messaging so that this is a personalized line at scale without having to go through every single contact. So this is the best way to automate your personalized lines to increase the likelihood that the customer is actually going to respond. So the next thing that we want to talk about is how do I track all of these emails? How do I make sure I'm keeping up with all of these emails? I'm not sending these manually. How do I do this at scale? So inside of Instantly, we have Instantly CRM. So anybody who responds to our emails will go into our Unibox. And what AI will automatically do is mark those prospects as interested, not interested, and that will allow you to keep track of the people who are interested. What's also going to pop up is I can see all of the opportunities. I can see all the people who showed interest, all the people that I booked meetings with, all the people that are meeting complete. And I can say, here's everybody who gave me a positive reply and we sent value to. I can pull this person up. I can see the company description, the competitors, pain points. I can call them, I can email them, I can SMS them from Instantly directly. I can keep track of all of the follow-ups that I'm doing inside of here so that you can be organized in your follow-up. You can be organized with tracking all of the leads that you're getting, and you're not just sending emails and spraying and praying and hoping that you get a response and you're ultimately going to get a deal from it. It's going to be really important that we're keeping track of all the positive replies and actually following up with them. And the last thing that I want to hit on is the volume. So how do I automate volume? How do I make sure that I'm actually sending the proper amount? Alex Hormozi always talks about we grossly underestimate the volume it takes to actually get results. And the problem with cold email oftentimes times is people will send emails from their current email and all of a sudden they realize, oh wow, all these emails are going into spam, because each email can only handle 50 emails max per day without getting flagged as spam. So how do we get over that? How do we send the volume actually necessary to get results? So inside of Instantly, what we can do is we can actually buy emails so that we can send from multiple email addresses. And they have a done for you setup, which sets up in 24 to 48 hours, which is a complete game changer. So what I can do is I can set up multiple email addresses inside of my Instantly account so that I can send 50 emails a day from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 emails every single day, which will increase the volume of sending, which will increase the likelihood of that I'm getting more responses, ultimately more leads, and ultimately more deals for my business. So what I can do is I can click on the done for you setup, and let's just say my business name is Agency U, and what will populate are different names and variations of emails that I can choose. So I can buy these domains directly through Instantly for $15 per year. And then once I click next, what's going to happen is it's going to automatically populate 3 emails per domain. And I can do a forwarding domain. So if my main email is agencyu.co, when anybody actually types this in, it would actually redirect to my main email address, which is even better. And then for each email address, it's $5 a month, which is actually cheaper than any other tool that you would use in order to do something like this. So once I place the order, what's going to happen is it's automatically going to set up all of these emails completely for me. So if I have 30 emails, that means that I can send 1,500 emails per day. So this is how you automate and scale your volume without having to deal with the spam, without having to deal with deliverability issues. We need to make sure we have a high volume of emails that we're sending from, and Instantly makes it so easy to do that. All right, and that is Alex Hormozi's cold email strategy. To get started with this same exact strategy, all you have to do is go to instantly.ai or click the link down in the description. Now, ever since Alex Hormozi has been teaching cold email, the game has changed quite a bit. And there's actually this new strategy that has been working insanely well this year. So to get that strategy, all you have to do is click right here on this video on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.